All right, so let's say I wanted you to calculate how many ounces or mLs actually, because that's what we usually calculate is mLs that somebody took in for a shift. And I said that you have 1 cup of coffee, 4 ounces of ice, 6 ounces of tea, and 3 cups of water. All right, and you have to calculate the mLs here. Okay, so a cup is equal to how many ounces?
8. 8.
8. Okay, so this is 8 ounces. So we're going to take that times 30. Okay, because 30 mLs are equal to 1 ounce. Okay, so let's put that somewhere. 30 mLs equal 1 ounce. Okay, so that gives us 240 mLs. All right, next we have 4 ounces of ice. Now, I will always half my ice first. So ice is always equal to half. Okay, so if this is 4 ounces in ice, it's going to be equal to 2 ounces because that's what it'd be once it melts down. It looks chunkier when you first have it in the cup, but once it melts down, that 4 ounces is actually going to melt down into 2 ounces. So ice is always half. So that would be 2 ounces.
Is that the same as our popsicle?
It's not the same. On a
Okay.
popsicle, it's going to tell you that it's worth so many ounces. Usually popsicles are 6 ounces, but it'll say it right on the um, paper. And the same thing with ice cream. Why is it not the same? Ice is just what?
It's just water.
Water.
Right. But juice, soda, ice cream, they have other components in it that give it more weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So 2 ounces of ice equals how much?
60.
60
That's
ounces.
60. 60.
Okay. And then you have 6 ounces of tea.
Times 30, 36, 360.
180.
No, we say 80, 180.
Okay. And then 3 cups. Okay. And that's 8 ounces. Each cup is 8 ounces, right? So that's going to be 8 ounces times 3, which is 24 ounces, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And then you would add whatever that is. Or you could just do 240, 240, 240. Okay.
Gives you 720, right?
Correct. Okay. And then you would just take that 720 and add it to these other numbers here.
1200.
1200.
Let me do the math. Yeah, 1200. Okay, you need to do another one? Or are we good with that? Okay, if you don't answer, then I'm going to think you're good.
Okay.
So
All right, what? I'm
just
sorry.
Uh-oh.
I can't hear whoever's talking. You sound like you're a million miles away. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Maybe
I
go out and come back into the
think
Zoom.
I'm good. But
Maybe go out and come back into the Zoom. I
it
can't hear you.
said 6 ounces of ice. It's really 3 ounces.
So if it says 6 ounces of ice, correct, you would calculate 3 ounces.
Right?
You're always going to do half. So if it says 3 ounces of ice, it's 1.5. It's always going to be half.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see if we can find an intake and output with ice on it. Here we go. All right, let's look at this one here that I have highlighted in black. Okay, so get a piece of paper.
Okay, we don't see it yet.
Okay. How about now?
Okay, we see a black screen. Okay, we see it.
Okay, so we're doing the one that says 2 pieces of toast, 2 cups of oatmeal. Okay, so toast is what? A solid. We don't need it, right? Same thing with oatmeal. Same thing with yogurt. All right, next thing we have is 12 ounces of orange juice. So we're going to write that down. 12 ounces of OJ. Okay, 2 ounces of grits. We're not counting. Next thing is 2 8-ounce cups of coffee.
Miss Lausch, I'm sorry. Is this health assessment or L2R?
This is health assessment.
Okay.
Okay. Also in that coffee, what do we have? 2 ounces of
2
cream
ounces
in
of
each
cream.
cup. So that's 4 ounces of cream. Okay. Next, we have 24 ounces of ice chips.
That's 12.
Don't do any conversions yet. You're just writing this down. Okay. Then at 12 o'clock, we have an infusion of 50 mLs. We have 2 mLs of IV Zofran, 10 mLs of saline. You see, these can get quite complicated. 12 ounces of soda. And then you see 3 12-ounce popsicles. Those are going to stay 12 ounces because they have juice in them. So only thing that converts to half is actually ice and your possessions when you get a divorce. Okay. 250 mLs of red black pack blood cells. Then we have another 2 mLs of morphine. 10 cc's is 10 mLs. So 10 mLs of saline, 10 mLs of saline. And then from 1600 to 1900, which is 3 hours, right? 16 to 17, 17 to 18, 18 to 19. So for 3 hours, we have an IV going at 100 mLs an hour. So 100 mLs an hour times 3 hours. All right, and let's see what this says up here at the top. So we're calculating the 12-hour shift from 7A to 7P. Now let's go back down here. This started at 8 a.m. and our last time is 1900, which is 7P. So everything in here that we just wrote down is going to be part of this equation. Okay, so let's see what we get here when we calculate this out. All right, so let's go back to the whiteboard. I'm going to do it on there because sometimes I go too fast for my own good. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this, so you can do it however it works best for you. I'm going to just convert as I'm going down everything into mLs, okay? So we're going to start with our 12 ounces of orange juice. And that's 12 times 60. Everybody agree that's 300. 12 times 30.
30.
Let me get my calculator here.
360.
You had the 2 ounces or something first.
It's
two
12
8 ounces.
ounces, right? 12 ounces of orange juice. That was
Yeah.
the first thing, correct?
No,
Yes.
it was
Yes,
two.
yes,
It was?
Yes, it was.
yes.
The two, we
Yeah.
don't count the oatmeal or the yogurt.
Okay.
Yeah. Solids.
We're only counting things that are liquid at room temperature.
Okay.
All right, so we had 12 ounces of orange juice. I converted that by multiplying it by 30, okay, to get 360. Next thing is 8 ounces of coffee. So for me, that equals 240. Then we had 4 ounces of cream. And that was 120, right?
It was 2 cups of coffee, right?
It was 2 cups of coffee and it was 2 ounces of cream.
Okay, good.
All that.
So then that takes this 480. So let's put a 2 here. And that'll be 480, right?
Yes.
All right. And we did have 4 ounces of cream, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The
All right.
cream.
Next is 24 ounces of ice. So we have 24. We're going to divide that by 2. And that gives us 12, right?
Yeah.
Is the cream not 2 ounces?
360.
The cream was
It's
2
4 because
ounces, but it was 2 ounces in each cup of coffee.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I knew she was right on the coffee, because I remember doing that conversion. But on my
Okay.
paper, I only wrote 1 8-ounce cup of coffee.
Okay.
All right. The next thing I had was 50 mLs.
Leave that alone.
That goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to be 50 equals 50 because everything over here is 50, is mLs, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had 2 mLs
Yeah.
and 10 mLs, right?
Yeah.
And then we had 12 ounces of soda. So that was 360. 12-ounce popsicle, which was another 360. And then I have
Miss
250.
Lodge,
I'm
Miss
sorry.
Lodge, it was three 12 ounces of popsicle. 312
3 12 ounces of popsicles.
popsicle. Yes.
Okay, so then we have 360 times 3.
1080.
All right, I'm just going to add this side up here so we can put it at the top. I'll never give you one this long on a test. Okay, so far I have 28 22. Anybody got anything different? Now, how'd I get 22? Because there ain't not. Oh, yeah, we had 2 mLs.
I got something else different, but maybe I calculated wrong.
I'm going back through it.
Yeah, I got 28, 22 too.
Okay, I still got 28, 22. Anybody still calculating?
I am, but I'm not getting it.
Do you have all the numbers up there that we have? Right now, we just calculated what's on the screen.
Mhm.
We still have some stuff to add to it. Let me know when we're good to move on.
I have 28, 22 too.
All right, I got
Okay.
it.
Yeah, me too.
All right,
Yeah.
28, 22.
Yeah,
Okay, so everybody's there now?
yes.
Okay, then the rest of the numbers that we had, because we stopped at the popsicle, we had 250 plus 2 plus 10 plus 10. And then I had 100 mLs an hour times 3 hours, which is 300. So now I have 28, 22 plus 250 plus 2 plus 10 plus 10 plus 300.
90,
And now I have 33,
90,
9, 4. Is that what everybody else has?
Yes.
yes.
Hey, when you have time, can we take off those things off that lady?
You can take it off.
Okay, let's see
Okay,
if we can get back to
She
that
could
other
call you
screen. Let me
later,
know
you
when you can see
can
it.
call?
Yeah, it was 1 minute left when I.
Okay, 3394 right there.
Mhm.
All right, that one was a tough one. I mean, it's not hard math. It's just like putting everything in, and you see you can easily make a mistake. So when you do the I know, make sure you go back and just double check your numbers. And you could do it any way you want. Some people like to do the ounces on one side, the mLs on the other. You have plenty of time to do these, and you'll never again get, you won't get something with this much stuff in it. Usually I don't even put solids in there. Usually I just put fluids. All right. What other math? You got to talk to
I
me.
think I think somebody said something about rounding.
Okay. So let's look at some potential rounding questions.
When we get finished with the rounding, can we do something like this? Question number 5?
Well, let's just do question number 5, okay? But instead of rounding the milliliters per hour to the nearest tenth, we're going to to the nearest whole number, we'll round that to the nearest tenth. Your drops per minute will round to the nearest whole number, okay?
Mhm.
So let's start with the drops per minute for this one. All right, so drops per minute, your formula is always going to be what? Volume over
Total
time.
volume over, total
Yeah.
Total
volume
volume
over
over total time, right?
Yeah.
Times your drop factor. Okay, now let's look at what our volume is here. So the only thing that could be a volume is something that has liters or milliliters behind it, right? This one has
Mhm.
1¼ liters. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be Kool-Aid. Who cares? Because that doesn't matter, right? So all that matters is that volume, 1¼ liters. So if you were to write 1¼ as a decimal, how would you write it?
1.25.
1.25.
1.25. And now to convert that to milliliters, you're going to do what?
Multiply.
Multiply, because you're going to the right. Whenever you're going to the right, you're going to act like a rabbit and multiply. So you're going to multiply it times 1,000.
Yep.
Get 1250.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now you have 1,250 mLs of fluid. That's your total volume. That's going to go on the top of your problem. Okay, next that you need is your time in minutes. So your problem is your time is in what?
Hours.
Hours.
Hours. So if you're converting hours to minutes, you're going to
Times
Multiply.
18 times 60
multiply by 60. So 18 times 60.
is 1080.
Okay, is 1080. So that's going to go on the bottom of your 1250. So it's going to be 1250 mLs divided by 1,080 minutes.
Mhm.
And then it's times your drop factor, which is
20.
20.
Mm.
Now you round into the nearest whole number. What did you get?
23.
Okay. Let me put this on the whiteboard.
I'm good. That was, do we need
I
it?
know you're good, but for the rounding purposes, I'm going to the whiteboard.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so, and just so everybody can see the whole process also. So we had 1¼ liters. We converted that to 1.25 liters. We multiplied it by 1,000 and we got 1,250 mLs. Okay, and then we took our time, which was 18 hours. We multiplied that times 60, and that gave us 1,080 minutes. Took the whole thing after we did the division and we multiplied it by 20 drops, okay, per ml.
Not 200, mister.
Oh, 20, sorry. That brain of mine. All right. And we got 23.148. Okay, this is the 100ths. I mean, 1,000ths, 100ths, nearest tenth. Okay, if I told you to round this number to the nearest 100th, what would it be?
23 point.
23.14.
Okay,
23.15.
okay, 23.15. Why?
because
the
if
eight.
8
The 8
Eight
is over
ridiculous.
5.
What if I
8
said
is
rounded to the nearest tenth?
It'll be
23.
It'll be
23.1.
23.
23.1.
23.1 because the 4 dictates.
Yeah.
Now, if I said rounded to the nearest whole number, which you already did, you said it was 23. Okay. What if the answer was this?
23.
And I
24.
said round it to the nearest tenth. What is the answer going to be?
Ooh, 24?
24.
4.
It can't be anything else because this has to round up. This is going to round that up. Okay. So even though it looks like a whole number, it is the nearest tenth. Everybody understand why?
Yeah.
Typically, I won't put that rounding on you because I know what you have to do. And I'm like, yeah, they're not going to get it. Somebody's not going to get it. They're going to mess it up. So I try to keep you in the rounding of the norms as much as we can. Okay. Now, the next question said they wanted to know mLs per hour. Okay.
Miss Loesch,
Yes.
what you just said now, it said if it is 23.95, and if you ask us to round it to the nearest 100, what would it?
If I asked you to round it to the nearest tenth, what would the answer be? Based off of this number. It's going to be the same answer whether I tell you to round it to the nearest tenth or whether I tell you to the nearest whole number. Why?
The 9.
23, 20, is that 20? I'll probably put it 23.9.
That'll be wrong. Because what rounds this number? That's your nearest
The
tenth
5.
there.
9.
5. So that has to round up if you're rounding. That's the rule, right? So you can't leave it 23.9. You have to round it up. And by pushing this up to 0, it's going to make that 24. You understand why?
Yes.
Okay.
It can't stay the same. It can only stay the same if this number is a 4 or less. That's the rule. Okay?
Oh, okay, well, but what about 0.25 or 0.26 to the nearest 100?
Okay, 0.26 to the nearest 100.
Yes.
You tell me. Which
I would
number in 0.6, which number is the nearest, what is the 100th spot?
The 6.
Where's the 100th spot?
The 6 is the 100 spot.
Okay, so what are you going to do with that number?
We round the 6 to 3. You turn the 2 to 3. 0.30.
No, you wouldn't. What's the rule? You're changing the rule. How do you round this number? What number you use to round this number?
Whatever
Okay.
would be to the right of it.
Correct. And there's nothing to the right of it. So if there's nothing to the right of it, you can't change it. It remains the same, 0.26. If I said round that to the nearest 100, you would leave it at 0.26 because you have nothing to the right to use to round it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's always the number to the right. So this number is going to dictate that. This number is going to dictate that. This number is going to dictate that. And this number is going to dictate that.
Okay.
If you don't have a number there, then you have to leave the number the same. If you don't have a number next to the nearest number that you're rounding it to. And if your number's like this here, okay, since the 5 has to round the 9 up, that changes that to 24. That's the only way it can go. If it were 23.94 and I said round it to the nearest tenth, then it stays 23.9. Okay. Otherwise, if this number is over a 5, it's going to push that 9 up, and that's going to change that number to a whole number.
All right. Okay.
All right. If you have that dosage calc package that I gave you guys, there's rounding rules on there. There's a whole page dedicated to it. All right. Now, the other question said that gave us 23 drops per minute. The other question wanted to know milliliters per hour. Okay. And for this question, you had your total number of milliliters, which we already calculated as what? 1250, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our time was already in hours, 18 hours. So now you just have to do the math. They wanted you to round it to the nearest whole number.
Okay.
Okay. Sometimes I'll tell you to round this to a nearest tenth. You can put an IV pump, you can set it for up to the nearest 100th because if you're working in critical care, you might have to. But most of the time, I'll have you round these either to the nearest tenth or the nearest whole number. So nearest whole number for this is going to be what?
69.
69.
Okay. And what would be
69.
the nearest tenth?
69.
69.4.
And what would be the nearest 100th?
Stays the same.
69. Say the same. 69.4.
69.44 stayed the same. Okay. So now let's go back to the problem. Where was that problem at? Here. Okay. So we got 69 for that. And we got 23 for this. Let's see if we're right. All right. Rock stars right there. Okay. And there's the math. That's their math. I suggest whatever math you use what you can remember on the test. Okay, that's the main thing. Use what you can remember on the test. All right, let's see if we got another one here we can take a look at. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay, this one's asking us for drops per minute. Okay, now typically if you're doing drops per minute, I always tell you your formula is total volume, which in this case, your total volume is 1 liter or 1,000 mLs, correct?
Yes.
And what you don't know is your time because it didn't give you your time. So you can do one of two things here. You can take your 1,000 and you can divide that by 125, and that's going to tell you that this is going to flow over 8 hours. Okay? And if you do that, then you have to take the 8 times 60 to get 480 minutes. And you're going to take your 1,000 over your 480 minutes times your drop factor. I'm going to do this on the board in a second, okay? But there's a shortcut here, and if you're aware of it and you see it, you can use it because the shortcut they give you here is the 125 mLs per hour, which means that you have 125 mLs running over 60 minutes, okay? And your drop factor is 15. So on a question like this, you have a little cheat here if you want to use it. Let's go to the whiteboard. Again, you only want to do this if it's not going to screw you up for other problems because some people can't bounce back and forth. Now, if you stick to the original formula says use your total volume, which was 1,000 mLs, because that's what we converted our 1 liter to, over your total time in minutes, which we determined after taking 1,000 We knew it was running at 125 an hour. That gave us 8 hours times 60, which gave us our 480 minutes. So really we had 1,000 mLs over 480 minutes times our drop factor, which was 15, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I said was you had a little cheat here. Okay. So really to solve this, you could also just take that 125. You know, it's running over 60 minutes and multiply that times your drop factor. That would have saved you a couple of steps. Just do the math for both. You're going to get the same answer.
Yeah, 31.24.
Okay, so you should have got 31 both ways. 31.2, blah, 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 but it's going to round to what? 31 because we need a whole number here. Anybody have questions on that?
No.
Okay, 31. All right, let's see what else we got on here. All right, look at this one here. Now, when you read this question, what does the last statement in it say?
How many mLs?
Right here that I have highlighted in blue.
Milliliters per hour.
Is needed to deliver the correct dose, right? So when you see a dose, what does that mean? What's your formula?
Desired
Desired over have. Okay. Here's your order. 900 units per hour. It don't matter what it is. That's what the doctor ordered. 900 units per hour. That goes on the top, right? Doctor's order goes on the top. And what you have on hand goes on the bottom. So what do you have on hand?
10,000.
10,000 units.
10,000 units in
500
500
mL.
ml.
100 and 500 ml. Okay.
Mhm.
Now your units is going to cross out. You're going to automatically be left with mLs per hour. All you have to do now is the math. So 900 divided by 10,000 times 500.
45.
45.
45. Sounds perfect to me. All right. What other math did you guys struggle with?
I in a milliliter, and I was having problems with deciphers and which numbers to use.
It was a milliliters per hour question.
I think this right here. See how this is worded right here? Something like this, where it's infused via piggyback.
Okay, so let's just calculate this problem. Let's calculate drops per minute and let's calculate mLs per hour. Okay. So for both of those problems, let's start with mLs per hour. With mLs per hour, what's going to be your formula?
Total volume.
Your total volume over
time.
your time in hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What in this question, you don't even have to read the whole question. What in this question represents volume?
The 250 ml.
Correct. And what represents your time?
45 minutes.
Right. The problem is you have to calculate mLs per hour and your time is in what?
Minutes, so we gotta convert.
Minutes. So you have to convert. So it's just going to be your 250 over your 45. I would
Times
convert it by
60.
doing it that and just multiply it by 60.
Okay,
And that's going to give you what?
hold on, 45 times 60. 333.3. Wait, let me double check. 250 divided by 45.
Yeah, 333 mLs per hour. Now, does that
Yeah.
make sense? Well, let's see. If I ran 250 over an hour, what would I set the pump for? 250, right? If I
Okay,
want to run 250 over an hour, I have to set the pump for 250 mLs per hour, right?
okay.
Now
Yes,
I want to run that 250 in 45 minutes. That's going to be faster than an hour.
right.
So my rate is going to have to be higher than 250
Okay, okay.
because I'm putting it in faster.
Okay,
All right, now let's do the drops per minute here. So drops per minute is total volume over time in minutes times the drop factor. Hey, guess what? I don't have to convert anything here, right?
right. Because it's
Because
already
everything's the
minutes.
way I need it.
Right, in minutes.
So I could just take my 250 divided by 45, multiply it by 12.
112, okay.
And what'd you get?
66.66,
Okay, this is drops per minute. So what's my answer going to be?
67.
67.
Okay. All right.
Bam.
Okay, I just
Don't
have
get caught
to,
up. It doesn't matter what all that other stuff says.
okay,
Start reading the question from the bottom because the
okay.
bottom is the key.
Thank you.
Look at this one.
Okay.
This is asking you
Calculate how
how
many
many
units.
units the client's receiving, right? And I know you guys aren't doing this, but just look at it. How many units is the client receiving? What did the question give you? It gave you your mLs per hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it gave you the strength of the solution, which is 20 units and 500 mLs. So all you have to do is figure out how much is in each ml because you know you have 28 mLs, right?
Right.
So 20,000 divided by 500 is what? Because you have 20,000 units in 500.
40.
Okay, so that means you have 40 units in every ml. So now take your 40 times your 28 because you know you're running at 28 mLs, right?
Right, per hour. And that's 1,120.
And that's how many units you're running per hour. Not even hard, right?
No. Okay.
It's just knowing the formula.
Gotcha.
You guys could solve any of these if you just know the formula. Again, if you use dimensional analysis or something, I don't do that, but all right, anything else you guys need to go over?
Yeah, how to settle the nerves.
Yeah, that's called get the van.
I
The
know,
Ativan.
I know the math, I know how to apply it, but when we sit down and that start goes, I don't know.
On the
You
same way,
practice.
Bonnie.
You need to practice. When you
Yeah.
practice, you'll become comfortable. This is labs. They'll give you a lot of different ways to do the math because you need to get good at taking out what you need out of the problem to do it. Take out of the problem, you don't know what to use for the formula.
Right.
So
Nicholas, I have a quick question for you. Why why do we have to get 100 on this? Like, why can't it just be whatever you get, you get? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, why does it have to
Department
be?
of Health says you have to be 100% effective in your medications or you can't practice.
Didn't we do
I
that?
mean, are you good? Are you good with just giving the right dose some of the time?
No,
Okay.
No.
but
What
like
if you're
they,
working in critical care? What if you're working in a situation like when I worked in Hurricane Sandy? There was no one there to calculate stuff for you. We didn't have any
Mhm.
electricity for days.
No. I totally understand the importance of it. I know, believe me, and I understand, and I would want the same for my family and myself as well. It's just that pressure, my God.
yeah, like I can do math. I know the formulas. I can do it,
Yeah,
but making
me
stupid
too.
mistakes on these quizzes or
Yep.
exams, it's horrible.
I
Yeah.
get it, but you guys are blessed, I think, because like when I went to nursing school, we got one dosage calc. It was the first day of class. If you didn't get 100, you were out.
Wow.
Yeah. I took farm and dosage calc and micro in the summer in 4 weeks because that's the only time I could get the classes. And then we had to learn grains and all that stuff. We don't even
Oh,
do that stuff with you guys.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're crazy, Ms. Loesch.
yeah.
You're crazy. I couldn't do
I
it.
know
Yeah.
I'd have hung myself after a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I mean, listen, when you get in a real situation with the code and stuff, the pressure is going to be way greater than what you're feeling for this math.
Mm.
And you got to be able to handle it. You're not just going to be a nurse. There's going to be so much stuff, so much pressure that's on your back. This math is going to feel like it was cake when you go back and look at it. You'd be like, dang, Miss Loesch was right.
Miss Lausch, do you have any other practice quizzes you could post before Friday?
I posted 2. Did you guys take those?
Yeah, I did those 2 already, but I still want to practice some more.
Keep going on this nurse's labs because the math is going to be similar on here,
Okay,
So
all right.
right? It's probably
for
be
me,
harder,
for
actually, a
the
little bit
test,
harder on here than it is what we give you.
so this week's test will kind of be like these practice ones we're doing, right? Nothing new thrown at us.
The test is going to be the same stuff that you've been doing. Whatever was on those practices, it's going to be very similar. And it's probably going to be less questions for your final test. That's not till week 11, your final test.
They told
No,
us
I
it's going to
think
be this week.
Gary's this
No,
week.
our test is
Oh,
this
okay. For health
Thursday.
assessment evening, you guys are doing it this week because of test outs, right?
Yeah.
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 All right. I think you'll be okay. Keep doing these ones. It's only going to be 10 questions.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Ms.
From your
Loesch. Have a
mouth
good
to
weekend.
God's ears.
Thank you,
All
Ms.
right.
Lowe's.
You're welcome.
Thank
Is
you.
anybody on here for Jerry and Med Surge?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss Loesch.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Let me stop this so I can restart it.